The Rams absolutely dismantle the Arizona Cardinals today. How did they do that? How did it unfold? Well, I'll talk about that next on this post-game reaction episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. If you're on YouTube and you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to our channel. If you are, like this video, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any other video throughout this crazy 2025 season. If you're on the audio only and or podcast only side of things, share the audio, share the podcast, and any of those options, guys. I appreciate it. Mark appreciates it, excuse me. And it helps other Rams fans see our content, and thank you very much. But welcome to this post-game reaction episode as the Rams absolutely kicked the crap out of the Arizona Cardinals, 45-17, BTA, belt to ass, as some people like to say, and that's been kind of common with teams getting whooped, no matter if it's football or not. And it was definitely that today, as I mean, guys, in this victory, I predicted in the game preview keys to victory episode me and Mark did together a couple days ago that I thought this game would be close. Why? Because the Cardinals were losing games by one possession the entire season, other than a couple. And I just thought this Jonathan Gannon defense in the last two matchups have done an absolutely great job against the Rams offense. So I just thought overall, the way Jacoby was playing, keeping games close, the way their defense of head coach slash coordinator has done a good job scheming up against us the last two times. I thought this game would be close, and I'm so happy to be wrong on that and that not be the case. And luckily, an elite team beat up on a team who had tons of starters out. Just like the Carolina Panthers, who were missing 5+ starters, the Cardinals were even in a worse situation with 7+ starters out. There were guys that were ruling out who were under reserve before this game, leading up to the game. You hear Marvin Harrison, Dortch, other linemen, and then they already were missing Kyler Murray, James Conner, Zay Jones, and other guys I'm blanking on, right? They missed today Walter Nolan, the first-round pick. And again, other guys I'm just blanking on at the moment. But that's tons of starting players. And when that's the case, and you are an elite team like the Rams, you have to dismantle a squad. They couldn't do it last week against Carolina, but they got it done today against the Cardinals in this Week 14 matchup, and that was great to see. And on top of that, hey, thanks Green Bay Packers and Matt LaFleur, the brother of our offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur, who used to be with the team. Matt LaFleur, if you remember that, in 2017, his Packers beat the Chicago Bears. They dropped down to a wild card spot. Rams are now elevated back to the number 1 seed in the NFC conference in terms of playoff spot and positioning. That's great. And, of course, would it have been nice to see the 49ers lose against the Falcons? Of course. But, hey, we'll take that top 10 pick, Atlanta. Thanks for that trade. And would it have been nice to see Seattle lose? Probably was never going to happen. Seattle is an elite team with an elite defense and, a good quarterback, other than when he plays us, Sam Darnold. So, other than that, pretty good Rams day in terms of the football universe and things that we all were hoping to see transpire, right? But, I mean, guys, this offensive performance today was one of the best in the McVay era. Let's pull up a tweet/post from Diana Rossini of The Athletic. If you remember her, she used to do good reporting for ESPN once upon a time. And she said in this tweet post, the most total yards for the Rams in a single game under McVay are as follows. Number 1, 556 total yards, 2018 Week 4 versus the Minnesota Vikings on that Thursday night game. If you remember that one, where Jared Goff was looking like an MVP quarterback himself, throwing bombs. Robert Woods, Cooper, Brandon Cooks Gurley was catching touchdowns. I was at that game at the Coliseum. Great memories on that game. So that's number 1. Number 2, 540 total yards, 2019 versus the Arizona Cardinals in Week 13. So that was a game that the Rams had to win, and we're hoping to continue to survive and get into the playoff tournament. Now, if it was the new rules, they would have been the 7th seed that year, but That was one of the final years where it was still only 1 through 6 that would get into the tournament per conference. So the Rams finished 9-7. They would have been the 7th seed that year. They were not. They missed the tournament their final year at the Coliseum, but that was one of those games where they had to win, and they look good. And then the third best game in the McVay era in terms of total yards for offense was today's game, 530 total yards against these Cardinals in the Week 14 matchup. Isn't that crazy? Two Cardinals games are some of the best under McVay in terms of Rams offense, and the Rams yanked their starters in the fourth quarter and were kind of cruise controlling with Jimmy Garoppolo, Ronnie Rivers, and others in. So it could have been way worse. They probably could have been the number one total yardage Rams team in the McVay era today, if they were pedal to the metal the whole game, which I understand them not doing that. I got no problem with yanking out Stafford and others because this game was done at 45, even though selfishly I wanted to see them drop a 50 burger and get 50 points, but I'm cool with 45. That will do for me. And you know what else is pretty dang cool too? When your Hall of Fame MVP quarterback is balling out of control the whole season and he's breaking records every week, it feels like. Matthew Stafford today is now 7th all-time in career completions. He passed former Steeler great Ben Roethlisberger when he had 5,440. Matthew Stafford eclipsed that today with his 5,441st completion, which was good to see. And he's not that far away from Matt Ryan, about 100 or so completions. I'm sure it's a little bit less after he played a little bit more after this pass was completed. That got him to 7th. So another 3-4 games of Stafford playing good. I mean, he'll finish this 2025 season, regular season, probably at the 6th spot, pushing top 5 all time. Amazing. Amazing to see. Amazing to just digest that. I hope everyone in the fan base enjoys Matthew Stafford as our quarterback. I mean, look at, shout out to Kurt Warner. Shout out to all, everyone has fond memories of Roman Gabriel's MVP season back in the 60s. Shout out to Jim. But Matthew Stafford is the best Rams quarterback in team history. I don't even think that's a debate anymore. And we'll see where he finishes all time in terms of every other Hall of Fame quarterback. And again, I think he'll finish 6th by the end of the season, passing Matt Ryan. That'd be cool to see. But today, he is 7th, passing Ben Roethlisberger. Pretty damn awesome. But let's pull up the box score real quick just to get a kind of eagle-eye view of how the game was scored. I mean, again, Rams dropping 45, Cardinals only scoring 17. And in the beginning of that game, everyone, I mean, we're all worried like, is the Rams defense not looking good? They score an early touchdown. Rams get a field goal. They answer. And then from there on, the scoring fest was on. 10 points in the first, second quarter, 14 points, third quarter, 14 points, and then fourth quarter, only 7, which, again, if they felt like they were really trying, they probably could have got another touchdown on top of that, eclipsing 50 points. And then Cardinals, 7 in the first, 3 in the second, 0 in the third, 7 in the fourth, which totals their 17th total point to finish the game there. And as we get to kind of the grand view of basic stats here, you can see the total yardage, everyone, right? The Rams had 530, like we talked about earlier. Cardinals with 314. 0 turnovers for the Rams offense after having 3 the week before against Carolina. That's good to see get corrected. Arizona had their 1 where Nate Landman had a crazy INT and baited Jacoby Brissett. That was cool. 30 first downs for the Rams versus 17 for the Cardinals. Great to see. 5 penalties for 30 yards. Cardinals had 742, so luckily we were on the plus side of that. Third down conversion, only 3 for 8 for the Rams. I wish it was better. Cardinals were 4 for 12. Again, from the Rams' perspective, you wish to see that be a better ratio and them convert more. But hey, all those times, think about the season, how much the Rams have gone for it on 4th down. They didn't go for it once on 4th down. They didn't need to. I mean, Ethan Evans didn't punt hardly ever this whole entire game, it felt like. And then the Cardinals went for it on 4th once and didn't get it. Red zone percentage is great. Beautiful thing to see, as that's been an issue for the Rams offense for years now. And here they are, 3 for 4, in the red zone. And then Cardinals were 2 for 4. Great to see, at least from the Rams perspective. And then time of possession, Rams had the ball 35 minutes 4 seconds compared to Arizona's 24 minutes, 56 seconds. So great to see those basic, numbers presented to us and digest that. Good to see. And then how about, let's go to the next page here about, player stats here. You got Matthew Stafford again, 281 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no INTs. His passer rating was fantastic, right? Over 120, which is perfect. He was 131. No 300-yard passing game, but again, easily could have been done if they don't take their foot off the gas pedal in the fourth quarter. Got no problems with him getting yanked. And then Jacoby Brissett, he is relied upon so much for Arizona. It's incredible. Uh, no run game to speak of, and it's everything about him throwing the ball around, which he can do, but that's tough to ask for a quote-unquote backup quarterback with backup receivers, right? Jacoby finished 271, 2 touchdowns. He had that INT where he got baited. He took 3 sacks, and it was good to see him get brought down to the ground, right? And then here we go. How about the Rams rushing attack? I mean, Blake Corum, 12 carries for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns with that long of 48. I mean, guys, check out this fun tweet post from Cameron DeSilva of the Rams Wire. Shout out to his great content on the ramswire.com and all his funny tweets and info that he shares with us. He said today that Blake Corum hit 21.29 miles per hour on that 48-yard touchdown run he had. That was the second fastest speed of any ball carrier in week 14 this week, per Next Gen Stats, who does a great job tracking all that fun stuff, speed, miles per hour, other crazy analytics. Isn't that incredible that the Rams fan base, including myself, has been clamoring and wanting a running back to complement Kyron sledgehammer style and get someone who can be a quote-unquote home run hitter? Well, we got him, everyone. Look at me and Mark and everyone else on this channel, Paul, Farbode, everyone else I'm blanking on right now. Apologies. We've all stated that when Blake Corum gets opportunity, it seems like he's able to make an explosive play. If you remember last year, that something that was irritating me a ton was when Blake Corum would have a big run, juking guys out, cutting back, making crazy, cutbacks and getting 30-something yards, 40-something yards, it felt like. It was always getting brought back because of some dumb holding penalties, some offsides on offense, some illegal procedure, just something. But we pointed out, even in this, preseason / training camp where we're leading up to the season, it's like, hey, Blake's got that ability. He just hasn't gotten the opportunity or the lanes to kind of showcase that, but he did today. And on that run, guys, this is a difference-making quality that is now emerging for this Rams offense. If Blake can find a seam and get in the open field and run this fast, I mean, this is the difference between having a great run in a playoff game, a big game, right, against the Lions this upcoming week, Seattle on Thursday night, or again, a hopeful playoff game, which I think we'll get in the tournament unless something colossally bad happens. This could be the difference between, hey, a good run that gets you in the red zone, but you end up having to kick a field goal, or you score on that and you get 7 points. This is fantastic to see from Blake Corum. And again, he hit over 21 miles per hour. Amazing. Great to see in his second year, him balling out and doing stuff like this. So as we go back to the team stats there, that was his day. And then, hey, Kyron Williams, 13 carries, 84 yards. He averaged 6.5 yards per carry. He had a touchdown, right? And again, I'm a Kyron guy, defender, pass blocking, catching. The only thing he's lacking is the home run hitting ability. He's a good player, Pro Bowl level player. And again, cleans up the fumbles. There's nothing wrong with his game. He's a quality, good all-star, again, Pro Bowl level running back. Good to see him tear it up. And then Ronnie Rivers in garbage time, 41 rushing yards, 5.1 yards per carry. And in total, everyone, I mean, the Rams ran the ball 36 times, 249 rushing yards. And it's a beautiful thing to see. This is something that I've wanted, Mark's wanted, majority of the fan base has wanted. Just lean into the run game more, Sean McVay. When he abandons the run when it's not necessary, meaning run game is working, the defense isn't stopping it, and you abandon it just because you want to call pass plays. And I get it, you're going to call pass plays. But when it's working so well, don't bail from it so easily and call 3 straight pass plays at the beginning of the game. Anytime he does something like that, I always call it the Sean McVay special. Abandoning the run when it was unnecessary to do that. Keep running it. And luckily after that, kind of weird sequence of events where he did do that and irritated all of us, I'm sure, he stuck to it. And then absolutely, we just sledgehammer the hell out of Arizona. And this type of ball game will carry into cold weather games that may be in front of us if we don't get the number 1 seed. This game, or this type of run game, is beneficial to a good defense like Seattle and or other playoff hopeful games that we will play in January and beyond. It's good to see. all these things come to fruition and play freaking well on the ground. Awesome. And then you look at Arizona's rushing. I mean, my God, guys. Uh, Jacoby Brissett was their leading rusher with 22 yards on 4, scrambles, basically. Yeah, incredible. Bam Knight only had 16 rushing yards. Michael Carter only had 13 rushing yards. But again, they only ran the ball technically with running backs 10 times. That is incredible. Just everything beyond Jacoby Brissett's arm in the passing game. And, he made stuff happen as let's pull into the Rams, the Rams defense versus this Arizona receiving game. Hey, Trent McBride, a player we highlighted as one of their best that you have to game plan for. He's a Pro Bowl, all pro level guy. He only had 5 catches for 58 yards. Could have had a touchdown late in that game, but Jacoby missed him off some pressure. So, we benefited from that. Brooks, Carter, Bam Knight, the majority of these running backs were getting involved. But, Michael Wilson was force-fed, and he ate on us. Let's just call it what it is. 11 catches, 142 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. Me and Mark and others have said this for this whole season. Bigger bodied / more physical receivers who have this more menacing, bigger presence compared to our more leaner, smaller, quote unquote, corners. It's just been an awful matchup for this defense, Rams defense. Emmanuel Forbes let up a touchdown against, it was a back shoulder, but bigger body guy got him. I didn't think Ahkello Witherspoon looked good today, truthfully. And again, I know he's trying to get back into form, but I wasn't impressed with him or thought there was a lot of super positive things watching his pass defense today. And then D-Well was out, of course. Kobe Durant is a smaller guy too. But again, we hope this gets improved with all of our corners. Hopefully Ahkello can get back into football shape and form and look like his Pro Bowl level self like he has the past 2 years with us, because we're going to need it. Like, we need our corners to be able to handle these bigger body guys better. Michael Wilson got us, Coker and my gosh, T-Mac, Tedero McMillan from Carolina got us last week. AJ Brown abused us, and other guys I'm blanking on at the moment. It's just these bigger physical receivers. Our outside corners just have not handled well. And hopefully Ahkello Witherspoon could get back to his Pro Bowl level form, because he is the guy that can and has shown to handle those type of receivers and do one hell of a job. So we need him to looking good and feeling good ASAP, or we're going to get some other receivers going off on us like this. And again, Wilson is a backup receiver. Maybe not anymore based on how he's playing, but he was in a backup guy. No Dortch, no Zay Flowers, no Marvin Harrison. And, we have a rotational receiver killing us like this. No bueno, man, on defense. I'll say that. But enough of that. How about the Rams receiving game? Puka Nacua just had another insane day. 7 catches, 167 total receiving yards, averaging about 24 yards a catch. Crazy. 2 touchdowns. He had 11 targets. His longest was that 32, double move bomb on their high draft pick from Michigan, Johnson there. And Nakua's, he's just such an amazing player, everyone. As we pull up this tweet post from Sarah Barshop here, Puka Nakua's 136 receiving yards are the most in a half in his career, and the most in a half by a Rams player since Cooper Kupp had 165 receiving yards in 2019, according to ESPN research. And then also, Puka's, halftime catches and yards. He is one of 7 players this season with multiple halves of receiving yards, or multiple halves of 100 receiving yards, according to ESPN research. So look at everyone. Puka Nacua is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL by far in terms of what he does, blocking, run game stuff. It's second to none. Yards after catch, running the ball, taking handoffs, jet sweeps, etc. Mossing guys, sideline catches, crazy catches, one-handed catches. I mean, Jamar, Justin, hey, look at George Pickens this season. I know CD and whoever else you have in your mind that is an elite wide receiver. St. Brown's good. And there's tons of guys. Everyone's got their own take on that. That's fine. But Puka Nacua, overall, as an entire football player, is better than any receiver you think is just as good as him. He's better. None of them block like he does. None of them consistently make crazy catches, sideline catches, and out physical guys, run over dudes, yards. None of them do all those things I mentioned. And we saw today another example of that he will abuse your secondary, if he's throwing accurate passes and he has a chance to make big plays, like he does every week, it feels like. And that was just another instance of that today, everyone. And then, hey, Colby Parkinson, another touchdown for him. What is that? 4 out of the last 5 games, I believe he's had a receiving touchdown. And again, last year, everyone, I was down on him. He got paid starting level tight end money. Didn't look like a starting level tight end to me last year. Was relied upon to make big plays, didn't come through. And then when Tyler Higbee came back, they had a good 1-2 combo that was working out. And then he's played well this season. Now as the full-time guy, he's playing well, man. And that contract in the second year is looking worth it. And that's a good thing to see. And then, hey, Devontae had his 4 catches for 29, no touchdowns for him. Feels like that's been a long time since he's not got a touchdown. Davis Allen, Kyron, Xavier, Jordan, Winnington, and then Konate Mumfield all had catches as well. So it was good to see the well spread around. But, Puka Nacua just tore them up on that side of the ball there. That was great to see. But how about defense, everyone? So Omar Spates, 6 total tackles, 5 solo. Good to see. Cameron Curl, 6 total tackles, 3 solo, and he had a sack. That's nice. Akella Witherspoon had 4 total tackles, 3 solo. Cameron Kitchens had 4 for 3. Byron Young had 4, 2, and then he had a sack. Good to see him back on the sack, board there. Emmanuel had a couple tackles. Jalen McCullough, Troy Reader. Shout out to McCullough too, having a big hit late in that game. That was cool to see. I mean, he's a one hell of a extra safety slash hybrid dime linebacker, dime safety. He's a great 6 DB on any team. He could probably start for this team if people go down. He's that type of guy. Tank McCullough, Jalen McCullough. Shout out to Troy Reader. He had 3 tackles, 2 solo. He had that big pass breakup on that 4th down attempt where, more times than not, it seems like he's on the wrong side of those things, but he made a big play. Shout out to him. I know all the Reader haters out there, and, he's a backup, but he made plays today. Good on him. Dejuan Johnson, Puna Ford, Nate Lemon didn't get super involved in the tackling game today, which is kind of crazy to see. Look, the Cardinals didn't run the ball at all, so that's Nate Lemon's specialty is getting action in the run game. But he had that fantastic INT where he baited Jacoby, Jacoby just didn't see him, and he had a great grab. That was cool. And then, hey, Kobe Turner, 1 tackle, 1 sack. We'll take that from him. And then, hey, Darion Kendrick, Josh Wallace, Verse, Josiah, Dolak, they all got involved. And then, hey, from Arizona's side of things, Owen, Pat Pope, I said his name right, had 10 total tackles. Jalen Thompson, Mustapher, Baker, Baron Browning, Garrett Williams, Denzel Burke, Calais, Will Johnson, Darren Hall. All these guys got involved, but, they weren't difference-making enough. And, poor Will Johnson, he got abused today in the passing game. And someone who was like consensus, so I liked this film a ton, thought he was a first-round corner. He had the unfortunate leg issue injury, medical issue and concern for teams. And, we passed on him. We took Terrence Ferguson instead of him. I mean, obviously tons of teams bailed on him from the first round. He looked bad today, and he got cooked a lot. But I think he'll end up being a good player long-term for them. But today was not his day for sure in that department, everyone. But, I mean, how about the scoring summary as a whole, right? Guys, that first drive of the game was brutal. I was like, is Jacoby Brissett dicing us up this bad? And then, hey, Michael Wilson, like we talked about, these bigger body guys, he had that 19-yard pass or touchdown catch, I should say. And, Arizona scored in under 3 minutes. I was like, oh, my God, is this Rams defense really going to play poorly again? And I was worried. I was worried at that point, everyone. And then look, if we jump, excuse me, let me pull up the right thing here. I was like, is this really happening? And then, hey, the Rams get the ball back and they go down, run it. And it's a beautiful thing to see. It's beautiful. But what happens? We get into the red zone and Sean McVay pulls the Sean McVay special that I talked about earlier, where he bails on the run when there was no reason to bail on it. And we throw it 3 times. And Stafford missed Devontae Adams on that goal line fade. Should have been a touchdown. They ended up having to kick a field goal. But I was like, oh my God, man. It just feels like one of those days where the Rams offense is going to have to carry. But luckily that wasn't the case, everyone. As we jump later into that first quarter, Cardinals get the ball back. They don't do jack till they squat. And then finally, Rams get some momentum going. Like Nakua's going off. Multiple big catches on that. And then Blake Corum getting fed, making big runs, and then he slams it in and gets that first touchdown for the Rams in the first quarter, 2 yards. That play drive was pretty good, right? Under 4 minutes, under 3.5 minutes, 6 plays, 74 yards. That was beautiful to see. And then, hey, we jump to the second quarter, right? Cardinals get their field goal. They drive. They're chunking away. Jacoby's, it's all on him to make things happen. And I'm like, gosh, dang it, man. What is going on? And luckily, Jacoby gets sacked by Kobe Turner on that, forcing them into a 4th and long. They kick a field goal. And I'm thinking, all right, man, like defense, you're giving up too much yardage. And I'm, not feeling good about that. But luckily, right after the Rams get the ball back, run game. Matthew Stafford, being smart, completing it to open guys, Kyron short, Devontae short, run. Puka Nacua is making more crazy catches. And then we get to the red zone, Kyron slams it in. Easy 2-yard touchdown. And hey, that was a long drive. 10 plays, 65 yards, ate up almost 6 minutes. I was happy to see that. I was like, all right, offense is finally cooking here. Thank freaking God. Cardinals get the ball back. They punt. Luckily, we forced a quick one. And the Rams get the ball back yet again. And they score pretty damn fast, right? A couple big plays on the ground. Nacua has a crazy, that one-handed catch, I believe, where it was like 30 yards. And then boom. Stafford's cooking. And then Matthew Stafford hits right before halftime. That post to Nacua, catches it, and it didn't feel like, the Michigan man for Arizona was going to bring him down or have a chance to get him at all, man. Nacua smartly just keeps moving his feet. Really didn't look like he was fighting for it that hard. Gets in the end zone, and we're up pretty big at that point, everyone, where, 24-10, I'm feeling pretty good. And look at Arizona. They try to kick a big field goal there, and luckily they miss it pretty far. But hey, going in the half 24-10, I'm feeling pretty damn good. And I'm finally like, okay, Rams defense is settled in. They had a bad opening drive. Rams offense continues to just cook people like they have been for weeks and the whole season, it feels like, for a majority of it, I should say. Hey, Rams get the ball back. We jump to that third quarter, and it's just elite moving the ball. Ground game, short passes, Stafford's being smart with it, right? Blake Corum's just churning yards away. We have a couple bad, penalties where things go, bad, where, Davis Allen gets penalized, a couple incompletions. And then luckily on 3rd and goal, Matthew Stafford, again, to Colby Parkinson, who's been catching touchdowns every week, it feels like, for the last month, gets them. And another one where, hey, one of their best players, Budda Baker, had a chance, but finally we get to see Colby Parkinson's big height get used, right? He's 6'6", 6'7". He's a big son of a gun. Wish that would get used more, but hey, he's scoring touchdowns. I have no complaints. Hopefully that gets utilized more and more as the season goes on into a playoff run. Good to see him score. And, we're cooking at that point, everyone, right? It's 31-10. It just is a complete belt to ass kicking. And from then on, they trade a bunch of punts. And I'm like, what is going on here, right? Rams don't get anything going. Cardinals can't do Jack Tilley's squat. And then Nate Landman absolutely has a fantastic INT, like we mentioned earlier, gets Jacoby Brissett. And then the very next play, everyone, Puka Nacua, double move on Will Johnson, as Will Johnson got scored on by Nacua earlier, like I mentioned. Double moves, right? A little stutter, like he's going to run like a little hook or stop and go, whatever name you like. I'll look at the film later. And then the ball wasn't perfect from Stafford, slightly underthrown, but Nacua says, no problem, I'm going to moss this guy. Gets it, and then just strolls into the end zone. I was like, 38-10, it's on, man. And at that point, everyone, I'm like, all right, this is how it should be. A team that's missing 7+ starters. This is how an elite team beats up on a team missing all those guys who are important to them. And I'm feeling great. Hey, fourth quarter, we jump to it, right? Cardinals can't do Jack Tilley's squat. And then Blake Corum has that 21-mile-per-hour run where he, swerves and jukes and agility, agile or agility, cuts his way to that big run. And again, like we mentioned earlier, if he can do this and has this ability, now we know it's in him. If he can hit something like this once per game that changes the outcome for the offense, or gets them into scoring position, maybe kicks a field goal they maybe weren't, gets a touchdown that they maybe weren't, where he takes it to the house, game breaking. as that was a touchdown in the fourth. And then, hey, Cardinals on the very next drive, they drive down, and then, Michael Wilson gets us on the back shoulder, which was lame to see. I was like, ugh, bigger body receivers, irritating. They got to get that cleaned up. And by then, backups are in for the Rams, running the ball, nothing crazy. And then that's your ball game, everyone. So, I mean, just absolutely fantastic that the Rams took care of business. They took care of it. This is what needed to happen after I'll say the defensive stinker in Carolina last week. And obviously the Rams offense turning over 3 times. And that was, led to the loss as well. But they needed to win this. They needed to get to 10 wins, which is what? Almost every season Sean has gotten to 10 wins other than 2. The 2019 season we referenced earlier where they went 9-7, missed the tournament because they were the 7th seed, and that wasn't a playoff spot that existed yet until the year after. And then the disaster 2022 season when literally everyone and their grandmother got hurt, where we're playing backup O-linemen, third-string O-linemen, linemen signed up the street, backup quarterbacks, 4 of them. It was a disaster year where they only won 4 games or whatever that was. But other than that, Sean's got the 10-plus wins. And here we are hitting 10 wins today with another month of games to go with a lot on the line. But, guys, it's just so nice to see our team, your team, the Rams, look like an elite team once again. Offense, defense, with things they can still correct. Now, I'm sure you saw stuff. You want to see people get to the quarterback more, right? You want to see Verse and Braden and all them. They're getting tons of pressure, which is good, but let's seal the deal on those. Let's get some sacks, everyone. Let's get more and more than what just the pressures say. Secondary, you want to see the corners play better against bigger body physical receivers. That's hard to kind of coach up, but there can be improvement in that. And then, hey, you want to see Sean McVay, not abandon the run when it's unnecessary, right? Which, again, you could say if Matthew Stafford connects to Devontae, then all is well. Totally get that. But I think when it's working so well, don't bail from it. And I think how today's game went on the ground, almost rushing for, 250, could have been 300 if they kept the starters in my opinion. Hopefully this leans into, hey, you can use this formula against other good teams that we're going to be facing soon. Lions, Seattle, whoever we face in the playoff tournament. That is very, very soon, in a month's time. All good things, all things to learn from. But, I mean, man, everyone, it's good to feel relaxed and get this damn W. So, hey, everyone, if you are on YouTube and you aren't subscribed, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy our content. And if you are enjoying our content, like this video, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any other video throughout this, very wild but fun 2025 season. And if you're on the audio only and or podcast only side of things, hey, share the audio, share the podcast with your fellow Rams fans out there. I appreciate it. Mark appreciates it. And it helps other Rams fans see our content. And thanks for tuning in on this post-game reaction episode as I'm riding solo, as me and Mark were having technical issues kind of connecting earlier. So, we had to get something out ASAP for everyone and for you guys tuning in, listening in. So thank you very much. And guys, we got a couple home games left. I'm going to try to make at least one of them. If things go well, I'll somehow be at the Rams-Lions game this upcoming week. And depending on how things go, maybe I show my face in week 18. But, if Rams get playoff games, I'll be there. And if you can, for all the haters out there who say there is no Rams home field advantage, let's show up this week against the Lions coming up. Let's show up in a couple weeks after against those Arizona Cardinals. And if we get some home field games, show up there too. Let's stop this national narrative and players talking crap and media members who are just saying crap that they see on Twitter of fan bases talking SH, you know what I mean? Here we go. Big games are upon us. Cardinals got taken care of. Now, enjoy it. But time to flip the page and let's get some Matthew Stafford revenge on those Detroit Lions, as they haven't won the last 2 matchups against those guys. We have a chance for Matthew Stafford to continue to be an MVP quarterback and look good doing it against his former team. And today was that stepping stone to feel good about facing the Lions, Seahawks, Falcons, and Cardinals one more time before January football and playoff football, I should say. So go Rams, baby. Enjoy the win, everyone. Hey, rep that blue and gold. Rep it rep it proud, rep it loud. And don't forget, man, you got to throw up the horns and you got to say, as always, go Rams, baby.